Focus Live, it is glad to have you join us on another edition of the program. We sincerely apologize for starting behind the scheduled time. We are going to be having a robust conversation, and today our focus is on the education sector as far as Nigeria is concerned. Now, we are looking at the federal government's downward review of textbook assessment and ranking fees. Now, what does this actually, what does it imply? What's the implication of this on the education sector? How is this going to nudge our education sector forward? How is it going to bring about, the quality, as a matter of fact, that we actually want to see in our education sector? How is it going to impact on, the products that our education sector keeps churning out on a yearly basis? How is this going to really help us solve some of the challenges that we are actually confronted with in the society? These and many more we are going to be looking at on the program in the next couple of minutes. Don't forget, it is FG's downward review of textbook assessment and ranking fees. And to do justice to this topic is Dr. Fatai Salami. Dr. Fatai Salami is a retired principal. It's a pleasure having you join us.
It's a pleasure being here
on the program today. Now, let us take a look at this decision by the federal government. Okay. How, as an educationist yourself and someone who has actually been in the education sector for many years, and then you also got to the peak of your career before actually bowing out of service, how do you receive this information?
Well, as much as possible, this is a welcome development, and if you want to look at it closely, what government has been able to do is to sort of reduce the burden on parents, because according to the federal government, what it has tried to do is to reduce the assessment fee on textbooks, which used to be 2,000 naira. Now it is 1,750. So 1,750 sort of. And of course, the ranking fee, which used to be 1 million, has been reduced to 750,000 naira. All these things, all these steps are quite required. Realizing the fact that the inflation is biting everybody. So I see as a record development, so as to, it's a way of reducing the burden. See?
Okay, so let's take a look at how this would actually benefit the average pupil that is seated in the classroom.
Well, to start with, let us take a critical look at this policy itself. Essentially, when any instructional material is to be introduced in the school setting in the country, it is the responsibility of the Nigeria Educational Research Development Council to work on it. And of course, what are they trying to do? To kind of standardizing, the entire thing, so that it's not a question of just any book just going to our school. And now, government has been able to reduce. That's what we call assessment fee. Assessment fee is the money being paid by publishers per page of a book that is being introduced into the system. Now, that has been reduced from, like I told you, from 2,000 naira to, I think it's 1,500 now. And of course, the other one is the ranking fee. That ranking fee is after, when a publisher has in mind to publish a book, he must prepare the manuscript. The manuscript is sent to Nigeria Educational Research Development Council for assessment. For assessing this material, the publisher will pay a fee, that's assessment fee, which has now been reduced. That is a record development. The other one is, after assess the material and find it worthy, then that book will now be subject to another level, and that is the ranking, which used to be 1 million, but now reduced to 1,750. So it's a record development to the best of my knowledge, because the NRDC is vested with the power to standardize our books, and of course in line with the details of the curriculum. It is the same body that that develops our curriculum in the country. So any book that for any book to pass through them, that book must be in tandem with the national curriculum policy, and that's the beauty of it. So I think it's a welcome development. It is win-win all the way.
Now let's also remind our guest, our viewer, that before now we used to have 2,000 naira for the assessment fee.
Yes.
And now it has actually been reduced magnanimously by the federal government to 1,500 naira.
Okay.
According to analysis, that is actually 25% reduction.
Yes.
Now the ranking fee that actually is 1 million naira has actually been reduced to 750,000 naira.
Okay.
And that is a 25% reduction, as a matter of fact. And according to what the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunja Lausa, actually said, who is actually the brain behind all of this, he said this is actually going to take effect from September 2026, as a matter of fact. But let's also take a look at the argument. Let's take a look at the argument. Some persons still say that, this reduction, we also know that the real cost, really, that publishers spend, or money that publishers spend in printing, when it comes to book publication, is actually in printing and the rest of them.
Yes.
And then we know how expensive some of these materials that they use in publication, how they are, especially now that we have the naira going down towards the dollar, and then most of these materials that are used are largely imported. So will the printer or the publisher, will the publisher or the author will they really feel that relief, as a matter of fact?
Well, except you are saying that the reduction is not marginal, it's not enough. Somebody used to pay 1 million or 1,000 naira, now reduced to 750, according to Abi. And of course, the one for 1 million now to 750,000. I think except we are saying that reduction is not marginal.
But do you think the reduction is marginal? Is something that
as if it is not done, what will they do? They sustain the status quo, which is not helpful. I think we need to commend the federal government.
But do you think this will in any way really impact on the quality of the books that are churned out? Because with this reduction, you will have more people wanting to go into...
Yes, let 1,001 people come into publishing. As far as we are concerned, whatever material they have must pass through the Nigeria Educational Research Development Council. And that is the body that is vested with the power to standardize this curriculum. So regardless of the number, as long as their manuscript will pass through the NRDC, we don't have any fear to entertain. Yes. To me, I see it as a relief in a way. It may not be much, but it's still something. It's a good step in a good direction. If it's not there, what are we going to do? They will still publish, yes, because that is their business. So I think we need to commend the federal government for the little reduction that has even been effected.
I quite agree with you. We need to commend the federal government. And again, really, if the federal government does not do this that they have done, at the end of the day, probably the people, the masses, the average students, the parents would actually be the ones to bear the brunt.
Yes.
Because whether we like it or not, the publisher would actually transfer all of those expenses.
Yes, basically,
on the this thing. But let us also take a look at this time span within which this is going to be implemented. Is it feasible? It's just a couple of months away.
Yeah, that's September. This comes from the federal government now, and of course, it's the body that is vested with the authority. For curriculum development.
I'm asking that because
that is implementing it.
I'm asking that because I know that in times past we've seen policy declarations like this
that doesn't really materialize at the appropriate time.
It took more than a year, 2 years for this to...
As long as there has been a pronouncement, the publishers have the knowledge of this. So if anybody wants to play smart, they will make reference to it like, look, oh, Oga, look, this thing starts from September. So if something is starting from September, you don't have any right under the sun to still take us to the previous pay. I think it's straightforward. It's a policy decision, and that has to be implemented. Yes.
Now, in ranking of these books, really, what do you think we should also be looking at, particularly in consideration? I mean, putting into mind our current needs as a nation.
Yes. You see, that is why you have to put the right peg in the right hole. Nigerian Education Research Development Council has teams of experts. I was privileged to interact with this body sometime, 1999, when the government introduced family life HIV education. That time, the government found out that, it was the Babangida government, they felt that there was a dire need to consider our ever-increasing population, and something has to be done. Then they felt that education should be used as a veritable tool for this policy implementation. People are already around. Are we going to kill them? No. But that population education was introduced. For teachers to target the younger ones, to tell them the beauty of reasonable family size. It was this National Education Development Council that was vested with the right to implement that decision. I was privileged to be trained as a master trainer. We also train other pilot teachers for this level of education. And to God be the glory. It has always been, success story. So I think NIDC has what it takes to do that, and that we shouldn't entertain any fear at all. As for the time lag, like I told you, it is the government decision, and there's nothing anybody can do. And of course, it becomes a policy. And the fact that the pronouncement has been made, it becomes a reference point. So I don't know whether I answer your question.
Yes, you have. You have really.
So NIDC has what it takes to do that. We shouldn't entertain any fear. Like I told you, any curricular innovation in this country must pass through the NIDC. Yes, must pass through them. Whether it be vocational, whether it be road safety, whether it be drugs and food security, whatever it is, they have what it takes to package the curriculum. Because we have experts there that have been trained, they have the required knowledge of curriculum. Interestingly, I also trained as a curriculum expert. So, I can understand that very well. Yes.
So, but let's take a look at the curriculum itself.
Okay.
I mean, do you think the adjustments that have been made so far, do you think they are actually enough and are yielding results already?
Well, it's an issue, and of course, we need empirical facts to contest this. Basically, it's one of the provisions in curriculum development that the local materials must be put into consideration. The national aspiration must also be there. You find out that recently the country is tilted towards entrepreneurship. And that is why virtually most of our policy now in education always tilt towards that as well. So before this body can come up with any curricular innovation, they have at the back of their mind that curricular innovation must be relevant to the needs of Nigerians. Otherwise, if it is not relevant, then why? There wouldn't be basis for that innovation. Like I told you, at the junior level now, I think there's what we call road safety curriculum now to also discuss safety on our roads with our toddlers. It's although at the elementary level. Aside that, look at the issue that has to do with food security and food security and drugs. All these are curricular innovations that the Nigerian youth should benefit from, at least for the sake of the future of the country. So, for sure, any curricular innovation that passes through the Nigerian Education Research and Development Council bears relevance to the need of Nigerians. I can beat my chest for that.
Okay, so let's also take a look at the budgetary allocations that we've seen in recent years. Nigeria and a whole lot of other African countries actually fall short of the standard budgetary allocation for education. Do you think we can really go anywhere if we continue to, budget, or if we continue to under budget really for education?
Well, it's quite unfortunate that despite the fact that we know what the correct thing is, we are still doing we are going the other way around. Very, very unfortunate. And that is why the evil effect of politics in some of these policy decisions. The United Nations Education Science and UNESCO has its standard that we are aware of, but unfortunately, politics comes in, and quite unfortunate, we are doing the wrong thing. It takes a political will of any government to do that, and I think we should not rest on our horse. Those of us who know about it should not keep mum. We should continue to talk about it. Yes, we have our respective House of Assembly. Let us go there and target the Chairman's Committee on Education. From there, let us find a way of also getting to the National Assembly, because any nation that toys with the education of its citizenry is only toying with the future of the nation. So I think it's an unwelcome development, and it's very sad that there is no political will to assign, to allocate required budget for education. Instead, even the that is even allocated, what of the payment, I mean, the implementation is a different thing entirely. So, but I think we should not rest on our horse. Let us continue to shout to the high heavens, because we see something, say something. One day, I think we'll get it right in the country.
But we're not going to grow weary.
I'm happy. I mean, that will not happen.
Now, let's also take a look at recently, the federal government actually said that some courses in tertiary institutions are no longer relevant to the current realities, and so he said that it is going to be weeding out some of these courses, and then probably introducing or retaining those courses that it believes are relevant, as a matter of fact, to the society. Even though that declaration actually drew a lot of mixed reactions from Nigerians. What do you make of it? And then it appears the federal government has consulted widely, and it has actually put a pause, to this particular policy. I mean, do you think that is what we should be doing?
Well, it's one area that you just mentioned that baffles me, the question of wider consultation. I don't think that has ever been done. Because if there has been wider consultation, there might not necessarily be agitation against some of these policies. That's a fact that cannot be controverted. Well, one thing that is permanent in life is change. Yes, OGTV was not like this before. You now talk of modular studio now, Abi, or like digital what it used to be. Digital studio, thank you. So curriculum is also not static. It's a dynamic process. It keeps changing. Yes, and that is why this NLDC oftentimes the review.
Of course, Live, it is glad to have you join us again. And we are taking a look at the downward review of textbook assessment and assessment fees right here in Nigeria. Yes, a newly introduced policy, and we hope, and according to the federal government, it is going to take effect from September 2026. Now, that has actually been commended, no doubt about that, and quite a number of persons believe that, other steps really also are needed to be taken in the education sector to better reposition the education sector. I still have my guest in the studio with me, an educationist, Dr. Fatai Salami, who is a retired principal. It's a pleasure still having you.
Thank you.
Don't forget, you can also be part of the conversation. The number for you to call will be displayed on the screen. Feel free to call us, and let's also have your thoughts. Now, in the publishing business, we know that books is one of the most viable ways of transferring knowledge, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
Now, whether we like it or not, with this that the government has actually done, it is really going to give the education sector, a leap. I mean, what other thing do you think, particularly in the book publication or book publishing chain, do you think, yes, government also needs to take a look at this area so that we can also further, make life and publishing very easy for publishers?
Thank you. First and foremost, I think it's very important that government appreciates the work of these publishers, starting from the author who put the materials together, then the publisher. Aside from reducing the assessment cost from 2,000 to 1,500 now, they're ranking from 1 million to 1,000, for 750,000 naira. I think they have problem with distribution as well. The distribution network of some of these publishers really small to be desired. You see them just acquiring their own buses, carrying the books around to sell to the different shopkeepers, booksellers. But government can find a way of bringing them together with a view of assisting them. Let government put in place robust distribution network for them. And what do I mean? In each state, let us have different warehouses where they can put this material. And government has to assist them to do that, so that rather than carrying from corner to corner, the materials are there already. From there, but that's unlike what we have now. You have to carry your book from one bookshop to another, which is also telling on these publishers. Well, aside that, I think the question of production costs should also be looked into. Government should find a way of assisting them. You see, you can float soft loan for them to access, so that the burden is reduced drastically, because it even look at the assembly that you are talking. You have to pay 1,500 per page. So if you are producing a book that has 200 pages, then you know what that means. You are talking of 300,000 plus another 1,750,000 naira. So it is very important that government should assist in subsidizing some of these costs for them, so as to encourage them. They are doing a lot too, because to produce a book requires much. The relevance, the accuracy, and talk of it will not be relevant to the needs of the people. So I think government should find a way of assisting them so as to reduce the burden that they are expecting. Look at the royalty also. They are expected to take 15% of the royal as the royalty. Then what finally gets to them? You talk of 7% or under 10%, because that is what they eventually get, instead of around 15% they are expected to get. So I think these are areas that government can also look into with a view to assisting them, so that they can also get a reward for the services they render for the country. Well, the issue of we have our own issue, low reading culture of the country. You see, we have low reading culture, and now that we have everything, line hook and sinker online, you now find that the good percentage of people, they hardly read again. Once you have that your handset, ChatGPT gives you anything that you want. So it's another area. Is indeed a serious burden, to these publishers. So they require government attention. They must be supported. It's very, very important. If you can support them, it will go a long way in assisting them to also help Nigerians. So that at least people in the classroom, the students, because it's only when they are comfortable that they can also bring the price down.
Yes.
So it's very, very important. They require support of the government from time to time. It's very, very important. if you are not a big wig now, I find it difficult. Look at the situation, the conditions that have been that are on ground now. You are publishing 200 pages, you are paying, that's about 300,000 naira, because 1,500 per page. Aside that, you still pay the ranking, what have you, that government put in place. So producing a book of about 200 pages means you are paying about 1,050,000 naira. You know what that means? Despite the fact that it's very massive. So it's very important that they must be supported. It must be supported.
No doubt about that. We would actually need them to be supported so that it can actually rub off on. But let us also take a look at something you said, which is also very instructive. AI has come, and then it's actually, some people say it's making students more lazy. Really, what's your thoughts, really?
It all depends on the area that you look at it. I think it has come to assist our teachers to reduce the burden. As long as the students are sourcing the right type of knowledge, as long as it's also the right type of knowledge, we don't have nothing to fear. But unfortunately, don't forget that these students are adolescents, and they have what it takes. They want to experiment. So you see them going beyond borders, going beyond borders, rather than going to websites where they can read, get material for. You see them going to pornographic and what have you. Of course, you can't hit your cake and have it. The development also comes with the sacrifices. But I think by and large, we need a good orientation for our students. Once they are well oriented, let them see the beauty and how AI has come to assist them in learning. I think that's the area that we need to focus. Very important. But like I've rightly said, no matter what you do, for every 12 disciples of Christ, there will be one Judas Iscariot, and there's nothing anybody can do. And that is why the onus has fallen on parents. We now to pay closer attention to our words. Let us find out what they are doing, even with the handset. Let us find time to see what they are doing. You see, a lot of things are happening. I was talking to somebody, I say, this handset has affected our mentality now. Any corner, if we average woman on the market, you see, you see the people, all the eyes are plugged into it. So, and that is why I think,
to a very large extent, some persons will say it has also impacted positively. Depending on, just as you
yes, I can't contest that. For instance, we have been told now that even with this handset, we have some of these young graduates that are not ready to work with anybody now because they have what it takes to use the handset to make money. Yes.
Legit money.
Legit money, and of course, they can always overstep their boundary at times, and that is why the parents have that responsibility. Let us be closer to our words. Let us be telling them that concept of Omaluabi, that no matter what happens, you need that Omaluabi to make it in life, not the Owoshukushukudawa thing. So, yeah, but that's what is happening. And look at this Yahoo of a thing. See, some students are not ready to learn again. Yeah, and we even have the Society of Association of Yahoo Mothers. That is how far our society has degenerated.
How do we bring back the reading culture? Really, it was bad before the advent of mobile phones.
Okay.
Now mobile phones are here. It's terrible. Do you think there is hope really to actually go back to the era where people cherish their books?
Yeah. My own advice is this: that we should find a way of using that thing that the children of nowadays want to target them. Yes, because to them, go back to reading and what have you. And that is why our lecturers now, they also need to be alive to their responsibility. Yes, if there's anything that you can package in a high to assist your student, yes, please go ahead. Yes, because no matter what happens, they also want to move with time. Reading culture is fast becoming a different thing entirely now that there is alternative. So I think we need to research into how to make AI, you see, useful. You see, I mean, in an ethical manner. Yeah, in an ethical manner. In an ethical manner, because as students of nowadays, you need to know their spirit. Even our children at home, you need to see what some of them are doing with this asset. Yes, they can do assignment, do and they get the thing done. Look at ChatGPT now. Ask any question, it will give you. Ask about yourself in some of these websites. Before you know what is happening, the little it has gathered over, on you, it will still say it. So, and I think we should see that not as being negative. Yes, I think what that matter is that we need to rehabilitate our students and make sure that they are getting the best from it. That's what anybody can do. It has come to stay. We need to look into how we can make it positive rather than just condemn. We cannot condemn it too, because that is what is in vogue, and that's a reality of our time.
Now, looking at this that the federal government is proposing, are we just going to, are we restricting it to educational materials, books that are used in schools alone? Or we should actually, extend it to all manner of books?
You have said it. You have said it. Don't forget that the one students are using is in line with their curriculum, and that is whether they like it or not, they must buy it, and they must buy into it. But the one, somebody outside of what anyone is reading to, when we can go get information on the asset.
No, but
that's what I'm saying. You see, the fact that the one for the in-school children is because it is in line with the curriculum that they are using, and so on the strength of that they will be examined. So whether they like it or not, they must get that information from books. Get that? But somebody outside who is not tailored to a particular need.
Hello. Okay, so as a nation, we are actually trying to encourage reading, promote reading culture and the rest of them. We must also be able to allow access to all manners of books, as long as it's going to improve the mind. We should actually make it easily accessible.
Yes, I agree with you.
And when it is cheap, it's good.
I agree with you. And that's why our publishers must also be conversant with realities on ground. Yes, there are ways to package it. Maybe if you make it interesting, and they can target it online, let it be. Yes, let it be. Yes, you see, if anybody reading, that is why it is. You see, reading, it requires that sense of intellectualism for you to embrace it. You get that? For an average Baba on the street, what's my business? As long as I can make money, every other thing is secondary. But for those of us in our career, of course, we don't have any choice. We cannot toy with it. But we must make it relevant to realities, present realities. That is why it can stand test of time. You see, those in our days, you see most of them using their yellow pages. Their lecturers, the note their lecturers gave them those days. But things are changing now. But if you don't prepare to the class, students can ask questions that can throw you off balance.
Yes.
So things are changing, and that is why lecturers also they are up to the task now. It's a question of how chair lecturer has gone. You have to research. You don't just go to the classroom without adequate preparation. Otherwise, a young boy will just ask questions that can delay you. And they are very intelligent. The student of this then deny they are very intelligent. Very intelligent. Times have gone when you just go to class unprepared. Just go there and cry you. They ask you questions. Yes, ask you questions.
Let's also take a look at arguments of some people.
Okay.
That if, for instance, I am in primary 5.
Okay.
And then I am actually going to primary 6. And I have a sibling who is behind me, who is actually who was in primary 4 and then is going to primary 5. That sibling should be able to use the materials or the books that I used in primary 5.
Yes.
And not having to go get another one.
So I think this is one of the things that this policy is trying to erase now. Because once the books are standardized, so issue of frequent changing of textbook will no longer be there. Yes. It is also assisting to check publication of books.
Yeah, so sometimes even if you're not even changing books every now and then, sometimes in some schools they will still mandate that you get another one.
I think that one, you see, people can only make me feel if you allow them. You get that line of argument. If I want to be a parent in such school, I will tell, the proprietor has to convince me why that book is no longer useful, that I have to buy new one. It doesn't really conform with common sense. You get my line. But most of these are parents, did they even bother to know what is happening in schools? And that is why we are indulging some of these proprietors. And thank God for this policy now. Because once the whole thing is standardized, everything will pass through the National Education Research and Development Council. There will not be any proliferation again.
So do you think we should actually be making that law that, students or pupils should be allowed to use books that their siblings have used, and we criminalize any school?
As long as the books are still relevant and are not obsolete. If the books are also there's not anybody can do, because knowledge is dynamic. But if it's not so and it's still relevant with time, why? And that's why I'm saying that our parents need that voice. They must be prepared to speak out. They don't just accept anything that is thrown at them. No. And that is why it's very important. Something should be discussed fervently at the PTA meetings. But how many parents, only women will go to the PTA meetings? And of course, they don't have voice. But a man who knows that he's coughing out the money, be able to give them value. Request value for the money. He's paying. Yes.
The program is still focused live right here on OGTV. We are still expecting your calls, really, even though we have very limited time left on the program. Extreme FG's downward review of textbook assessment and ranking fees. As we custom, what's your advice, really, to both parents, pupils, and even the federal government?
Well, we want to sincerely commend the federal government for this effort, but they have to go a step further in supporting the publishers. Yes, you have made a degree of reduction, but it's not marginal. They must do more for these publishers, because it is a Herculean task for anybody to publish. Like I told you, if you are producing a 200-page book now, then you are paying not less than almost about $1,500,000 only for the assessment and ranking fee. You know how far that will have come. So I think government still need to do more. As for the parents, I think we have to thank God for what the government is doing. This will go a long way in assisting us to combat proliferation of books. Because for any books to be recommended now, that book must pass through the assessment of the NRDC and it must meet up with the ranking conditionalities of NRDC. And of course, doing that means that few of such books will be in circulation, unlike what it used to be, where there be many and the parents will have no choice but to continue to buy. And as well for students, I think it is very important that they attach serious importance to their learning. Yes, there's nothing bad in also going extra mile to seek information on media, online. But then they must appreciate the fact that there's what we call ethics. Anything that is unethical should not be in the dictionary for anything. Curriculum is there. We have course outline. Take any particular topic that you like. Yes, seek information and read about it. Enrich your knowledge about such topics. but not necessarily using online to do something that will be that will go out fires, you know, and will be something that will be against the future of such children.
The program has been focused live right here on OGTV, and yes, we are hosting them already, and we must sincerely, before we actually host them, before we eventually take our bags and leave, we must really appreciate our guest in the studio who has actually done justice to this topic, Dr. Fatai Salami, an educationist and of course a retired principal right here. We must thank you so much.
No,
and, I'm sure come September, when schools resume, we would actually see the full implementation of
we can always come back and have a discussion, a review of what you have said here.
Yes,
that's the beauty of a continuity.
The impact this has actually made or is making.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having me. And anytime, call me. I'm always here.
It's a pleasure having you. We must thank you also for watching the program, Focus Live. Next week, we're going to be back again with another edition of the program. I remain Dominic Agbea.